Hello, and welcome to my presentation on recommendations to reduce childhood obesity for the El Paso Department of Health. My name is Candace Nelson. I'm a Master of Science and Applied Nutrition student at the University of New England. Today, we will talk about childhood obesity and its related health concerns in El Paso, Texas, the role of childhood obesity, what leads to childhood obesity, and I'll present a potential intervention to reduce childhood obesity. Direct medical costs of childhood obesity are $19,000 over the cost of care for a child of normal weight. There are also indirect costs. Obesity-related health care cost Medicaid $8 billion in 2013. Each case of childhood obesity that could be prevented would fund an entire year of a child's college education. Obesity rates continue to climb nationwide. With that, we have increases in heart disease, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, and arthritis, to name a few conditions. By 2030, at least half of the adult population in the United States is expected to be obese. Without intervention, this will put an enormous strain on the healthcare system. The good news is that recent investments in childhood obesity programs have shown slight decreases in some states. But there's still a lot of work to do. It's also worth noting that preventing adult obesity begins with preventing childhood obesity. El Paso provides a unique opportunity to address childhood obesity because the population of Texas is growing at a rate twice as fast as the United States as a whole. It also reflects the future demographics of the United States. Here's a look at El Paso. It's 52% Hispanic. Residents of border communities have lower educational attainment, lower income, higher unemployment, and higher rates of poverty. In fact, 36% of children live in poverty, and 23% have food insecurity. 36% of teens and children also have overweight or obesity. Childhood obesity is influenced at all levels. At the individual level, Mexican-born immigrant children typically have lower obesity rates than children born in the United States. The second-generation children tend to develop a taste for the standard American diet and have higher rates of obesity. They consume fewer fruits and vegetables and more calorie-dense snacks. Children also report inactivity. They say they don't have time or energy to be active. Some also are watching younger siblings or have other responsibilities, so they can't get out and play. At the interpersonal level, immigrant families have higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and lower household income. Healthy habits are also influenced by parents. Mothers in particular don't always see overweight or obesity as a problem, especially mothers who have had food insecurity themselves. They think it's normal or something the child will outgrow, so they are unlikely to address it without additional education. In 2010, nearly 30% of the population of El Paso did not participate in any physical activity. That means that parents weren't modeling physical activity for the children or necessarily encouraging it. Sometimes parents are also unavailable or they don't have safe transportation to take kids to sporting events or community centers. We do find, however, that at the community and organizational level, children in Mexican American communities have strong ties there. Those things are very important to the community. However, there are some community issues such as no stoplights, heavy traffic, high crime. Some children often also reported dogs in the streets that are scary and they don't want to go out and play. In some areas, homes are hand-built or kind of fashioned together, so they lack air conditioning and running water and other things that would support being physically active, especially in the hot Texas summers. Parents and children both reported that schools are a common place for physical activity and healthy eating, so we'd like to continue to build on that. At the bigger level, The environment can be difficult for supporting physical activity. Summers are very hot, and if communities don't have pools or community centers with air conditioning, it can be difficult for kids to get out and play. We also have a lot of fear in this community. People fear their kids playing outside for kidnappings. There's also a fear that immigration status will be exposed and families will be separated. This causes some families to forego things like Medicaid or getting their children health care. They also might hesitate to apply for federal nutrition assistance programs, even for children who are US born or otherwise eligible, because they don't want to expose a family member who is undocumented. So our intervention will take place at a school. We find this is an ideal place to intervene in childhood obesity because they have physical education equipment and space. The children are already there, so we don't need additional transportation, and we found that it works. A 3-year intervention took place among a Mexican origin community in California. The intervention included parent classes on nutrition and physical activity. Nutrition and physical activity were also taught to the students in school. And then the families received a voucher to purchase fruits and vegetables. All sessions reinforced the message to reduce sugar-sweetened beverages and increase active play and consumption of fruits and vegetables. The intervention successfully slowed the rate of body mass index growth for the children. Another school intervention took place in Houston, Texas, in a school that is 95% Mexican American. The students had instructor-led physical activity sessions 4 times a week and nutrition counseling once a week. Family members were also invited to family nights at school, and so the programs for adults were in English and Spanish. After 2 years, the intervention participants maintained their weight status. They didn't add more weight, and family involvement was cited as a promising factor. A third intervention took place in Lubbock and El Paso, Texas. It gave students physical activity and nutrition education in school, and the students brought home weekly family lessons. All the families were invited to the school in the evenings for fun food and fitness events. It was found that students with stronger family ties had lower levels of sedentary behaviors at the end of the intervention. Some barriers to these interventions are that the school has to be able to provide instructors and space and equipment. And we know that schools really focus on academics and supporting children's ability to learn and pass standardized tests. So we'll need to do that in addition to providing this education. Our proposed intervention includes open houses for students and their families at the school. They will include open gym so that the kids and families can play in a safe, climate-controlled space with equipment. We'll also have daily education classes for children in all grades at school and a nutrition unit each year in their health class. Adult education classes will include hands-on cooking and nutrition education and take-home materials to reinforce the messages taught. We'd also like to open the school for a summer program to support students when school isn't in session so they can get some physical activity out of the heat and also have lunch provided. We're asking the El Paso Department of Health to help with funding and training for supplies to implement the program. We're also working with the El Paso Independent School District to provide teachers and space for the program. Working with the University of Texas at El Paso, which is sending nursing, health sciences, and education students to help supervise the students and teach the lessons, and in exchange they'll get class credit. We're working with the federal summer food service program and fresh fruit and vegetable program to provide snacks and summer lunches. And finally, we're asking the Texas Health and Human Services Department for a grant for the program. In summary, the current 30% obesity rate is costing Medicaid $8 billion a year. So we have opportunity to intervene. Residents of Mexican origin are at increased risk for obesity, and El Paso is uniquely positioned to lead the change. School-based interventions have shown to slow BMI growth, so we're asking for funding for a school-based program to increase physical activity, nutrition, education, and fruit and vegetable consumption among the children and community of El Paso, Texas. Thank you for your time.